Claudia here from Create with Claudia, and today I'm showing you the fifth block in the 2020 Create with Claudia Mystery Quilt Along, and it's the Bear's Paw block. It's a nice easy block. You're going to need two of them, and they're each going to measure 6.5 inches each. If you're new to my channel, I'd love it if you'd go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date on all of the videos I do. Also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where you can see daily pictures of projects that I'm working on, sneak peeks at upcoming projects, and just other fun stuff that I post every day. And lastly, you can find all of my tutorials, including this quilt along, on my website at www.createwithclaudia.com. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so like I said in the introduction, for the May block for the Create with Claudia Mystery Quilt Along, we're doing the Bear's Paw. And it's a cute little block. It's another traditional one. The whole quilt along is traditional, and this month you're going to need two of these blocks, and they're both cut out. They're going to be one finished like so. They're going to measure 6.5 inch square, and again you're going to need two of them. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need is your fabric, and like the other months, for fabric A, it's my background fabric, and I use this white with polka dots. I use it every single month, and I am in the video too. This is for the blog that I wrote, the article, and this is for the video. So my fabric A, I'm going to need 2 squares of fabric A cut 2.5 inches and 4 squares cut 3.25 inches. That's a fabric A. Fabric B is this big sort of the pad of the paw, of the big paw. It's the same as this green. I'm going to need 2 squares cut 4.5 inches. So 2 squares of fabric B. And finally fabric C, which is going to be sort of the claws, or the, I guess that's called the claws of the paw, and that's the blue in this block. I need 4 squares cut 3.25 inches. And the first thing we're going to do, like you can see here, is this is made up of 2 squares and then 4 half square triangles. So we need to make the half square triangles. And this, by the way, before I go, this is cutting for both blocks, but we're just going to work on one when I show you how to do it. But this is the cutting for both blocks. So to make one block, you're going to need 2 squares of the 3.25 inch squares of fabric A and 2 of the 3.25 inches squares of fabric C. And what you're going to do is on the back of both of these fabric A's, you're going to draw a diagonal line. I'm using a pencil. And this is going to be your sewing guide. There's one. And there's your other one. And then you're going to take your fabric C, and here's one of the squares of fabric A. You're going to put them on top of each other, right sides together, and you're going to line them up nice and even. And then what you're going to do is take it over the sewing machine, and you're going to sew 1/4 inch on each side of that drawn line. The drawn line is your sewing guide. You don't want to sew on that line. You want to sew 1/4 inch on this side and 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch on this side and 1/4 inch on this other side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both of these, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've sewn those up, and hopefully you can see, I used beige thread, so it's probably hard to see on the camera, but you can see my 1/4 inch seam on each side of that drawn line. The next thing you're going to need to do is get your rotary cutter and ruler, and you're going to cut this in half, and for this you are going to cut on that drawn line. All right, so they are cut in half, and you can open them up And there you have your half square triangle. Now it's not the right size yet. We're going to trim it down to size. So I'm going to take these over and press them, and I'm going to press to the dark, meaning I'm going to put the light side on the pressing surface and fold this over and press to the dark. That way you don't see that dark seam behind the lighter fabric. I'll be right back. Okay, they're all pressed now, and now I'm going to trim them down. These need to be trimmed down to 2.5 inches square. And to do that, I use the center line as my guide, and I have one of these handy rulers. It's a square ruler with a diagonal line printed on it, and I line that diagonal line that's printed on here up to this diagonal line, and I'm going to trim it to 2.5 inches. Let's see, so that's lined up, and you're going to find your 2.5 inch point here, which is right about here. So you don't want to cut off too much either. Got to be careful. And we're going to trim it up nicely. So there's one corner, and then you're going to use that as your nice corner guideline to get your exact measurement. All right, ready to cut. So there's one that's cut 2.5 inches, and now I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other 3, and I'll be right back. Okay, these are all cut and they look nice, and now we're ready to assemble the block. So to finish assembling one block, you're going to need these 4, plus you're going to need the 1 square of fabric B that was cut 4.5 inches, and the 1 square of fabric A that was cut 2.5 inches. So you're going to lay it out. Like so. And the only thing you got to watch is this direction. You want that colored, this red fabric or whatever color you're using to point sort of to the center here. And the first time I did this, when I was testing out the pattern, I sewed them all wrong and realized I had to go back and redo them. So anyway, the way I assemble this is I will first piece together the 2 half square triangles like so. So I'm going to piece this one to this one and this one to this one, and I'll be right back. Okay, so those have been pieced and they look nice and neat. And now we're going to assemble. I'm going to sew this row to this square and this square, the small 2.5 inch square, to this row of half square triangles. And the nice thing is the way I pressed it to the dark, you're able to see that sort of seam right there where it joins, and that's a great indicator. That's where you want to, so you can get a nice sharp point, you want to sew right around that point where it comes to the point right there. Okay, so now these have been pressed, and I pressed on this one, I pressed to the solid fabric, not the piece. I pressed this way, so it's to this one solid piece of fabric, and I did the same on this, and that way when you get ready to piece this strip to this part, you have a nice seam here that you can join, and it'll hopefully be a nice flat seam. So that leads me to the next part. You're going to sew this to this, and this is the only part actually that I pin. Now some people pin everything. I don't always like to pin, which is not always a good thing. Okay, that's pinned and ready to go, and again I'm going to sew along here. And I use, and one thing I haven't mentioned throughout the video, and I should have, is I use a scant 1/4 inch throughout. Okay, fingers crossed. Let me just trim off these threads. Fingers crossed that everything looks good, and yep, Nice crisp point there, nice points here. I am happy with that. I'm going to go press it really quickly and I'll show you the final product. Alright, here's the finished product. Here's my finished bear's paw. I love it. I love it in the Christmassy colors. Here it is again in the one that I'm doing for my blog post. And here's the other one. So I have my two ready to go. Again, you need two of these for this month. Each one cut 6.5 inches. And that's the May block for the Create with Claudia Mystery Quilt Along. If you want to join in and you haven't done the other months, it's free to join. You can join in at any time. Go to my website, createwithclaudia.com. And you can find all of the information. There's actually a link to the blog post that has all of the information on it in the description of this video, and you can check out my YouTube channel and look at all the other videos as well. And don't forget to subscribe if you like what you saw. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.